While the Calgary Flames have impressed as a whole more than most thought at this point in the season, certain players have been quite disappointing, none more than Yegor Sharangovich. After the Flames signed him to a contract extension after his hot year last year, that contract is now looking like a disaster for the team. So will Sharky be able to get back on track, or will the Flames have once again overpaid someone in their contract year? We're going to break all that down and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family, and it is a Sharky shame that this disaster is taking place, but we have to talk about it. And look, it's not like he's been, the worst player we've ever seen on the Calgary Flames. I do recall a time when Chris Butler was certainly the worst player on the Flames, and hey, I don't want to hate on any Flames of the past. I love most of them. But either way, Sharky has had a very, very disappointing season. And what better way to encapsulate that than a wonderful article by the one and only Rupert McDonald, one of my favorite Flames writers out there. Let's break down this article that he wrote. So Flames extending Yegor Sharangovich may have been a mistake. And I like the keyword of may here because look, Sharangovich's season so far has been pretty terrible, to be honest, but there's still that potential that he could break out. It seems as though his line changes all the time, so if he could just find some chemistry with someone, it could be great. And look, have you seen the video of Sharangovich saying Huberdeau's name? It is one of the best videos I've seen from the Flames in their recent history on social media. I also love the one of the Rasmus Andersson recent stare. But either way, the way he says Huberdeau, like, you better though, or something, you better though. It's so good. You got to go watch it. Obviously, he says it better than me. But let's get into the article here. So it didn't take long for Yegor Sharangovich to impress Calgary Flames fans last season. Many had originally questioned his acquisition, believing the Flames had given up too much in Tyler Toffoli. Their opinions changed shortly after the new season began, thanks to some great play from the New Jersey Devils cast-off. Sharangovich established himself as one of the Flames' biggest offensive threats last season, posting career highs of 31 goals and 59 points. Something tells me he might not hit 31 this year, but there's still always the potential. I love Sharangovich. I know a lot of Flames fans are on his case right now. He's not exactly a lethal threat in the defensive zone and isn't in the offensive zone this season either, but there's still the potential. His shot is a lethal one, which fans expected to continue terrorizing goalies for years to come. GM Craig Conroy seemingly thought the same, signing him to a 5-year, $28.75 million deal in July. And that is a pretty big contract. The good thing about it, though, is that the Flames have so much cap space and probably will over the next 5 years. Now, obviously, they won't have as much as they do this season in the future, especially if, they sign certain players or certain young guns want big contracts, but still, it's not the biggest problem in the world. It's just still, a bit of a disaster that once again, the Flames signed a player who had a really good contract year and then not so great after the contract has been signed. So the signing was a bit of a risk considering Sharangovich's struggles throughout his tenure with the Devils, but seemed to be a reasonable bet in the eyes of most at the time the two sides put pen to paper. Unfortunately, things have changed since. And that's just the fact of the matter. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. I thought the deal was great at the time, and now it is looking like a disaster, and it is too bad. I know a lot of people in the comments of this channel lately have not been too happy with him and have certain suggestions, so it's interesting. The problem with Sharangovich is that he can go into dry spells offensively. Many players across the league are prone to the same lows at times, but the difference is that most of them find other ways to contribute. That isn't the case for Sharangovich, who is far from a physical player and tends to be a defensive liability. When he's in an offensive rut, he's a tough player to give consistent minutes to. It's honestly, at this point, it almost feels like Andrei Kuzmenko 2.0. They play different games in certain ways, but it's just another situation. Is Sharangovich going to see a healthy scratch in his near future? I'm not too sure, but if we take a look at his stats so far this year, again, quite disappointing. He's got 6 goals, 2 assists for 8 points in 26 games. I think that's the updated one. Maybe my graphics generator isn't up to date here, but either way, very disappointing stats no matter what. And it's just not what you expect. Just the 6 goals. This has to be wrong. Is he really at 6 goals? Let me do a quick check here just to fact check the stats here. This graphic might be a little bit wrong. But either way, such a disappointing year for a guy who scored 31 last year. It's just not what you want to see. These are the updated stats. I shouldn't be hating on the graphic. That really is the amount of points he has. He is up to 6 goals, but just the 2 assists, 8 points. 26 games, not even a point every 3 games. It is a major disappointment. If we continue the article here, so the Flames may have been better to trade Sharangovich. So once again, hindsight is 2020, but immediately after his impressive season last year, Flames fans began discussing whether it be better to re-sign Sharangovich or sell him while his value was high. I definitely remember we made videos about that in the summer. The Flames went with the former and may soon regret that decision if they don't already. Considering the stats he put up last season, there would have been interest from several teams. He's just 26 years old and is currently on a deal that pays him $3.1 million. So the current contract is great. It totally makes sense. The Flames could have easily picked up a high draft pick in return for him and likely grabbed a prospect as well, both of which would be beneficial in their goal of becoming a contender in the coming years. So again, if we could go back in time, certainly I think the Flames would have traded him in the summer, as they did with Markstrom and Mangiapane, and they probably would have done that with Kuzmenko as well. The early injury hasn't helped either. This could be a big factor of why Sharangovich isn't playing great. So in his defense, his season started off on the wrong foot before it actually began, as he suffered that lower body injury in exhibition play that caused him to miss the Flames' first 7 games of the year. That seemed to put him behind the 8 ball from the get-go. Had he remained healthy and been in the lineup for the Flames' opening game of this year, he may be producing to the level he did a year ago. So maybe there's health problems, maybe there's chemistry problems, maybe he's just a little bit behind in where he wants to be. It is frustrating. You can pause and read the rest of that there, but either way, it's just turning into a bit of a disaster here. Another contract that the Flames just wish they could get rid of. I'm not saying it's as bad as, it was when James Neal first came here or anything, but still, it's just not great. And I know this was a bit of a negative chapter, so let's move on to more of a positive note. And it actually does involve a man we just mentioned in Andrei Kuzmenko. But I like this tweet here from Ryan Pike. So he says, as of now, the original Elias Lindholm trade, so Lindholm to the Canucks, it's Elias Lindholm to the Canucks for Kuzmenko, Matvei Grudin, Hunter Brustevich, Yoni Yermo, Luke Misa, and Eric Jameson. That is a boatload of potential, of skill. It just is such a good trade. It's easily Conroy's biggest home run since he took over. And look, what did the Canucks get out of Lindholm? They got a guy who didn't score for them for a long time, and then a quite disappointing playoff run where they barely beat Nashville and then got knocked out by Edmonton. So a great trade there. And even if Kuzmenko doesn't score again, doesn't play another game for the Flames, this should still be a win no matter what. So I just like that positive note there. It's always nice to remind us of what we do have and who is in power. Now let's get into today's game. We have a matinee one today in Calgary once again. By the time you're watching this, the game might be on, or it's just a few hours away at the time of recording. But the Flames are at home to the Chicago Blackhawks. This one goes at 2 p.m. Always welcoming in an original 6 team is nice. I know that I say that every time we play an original 6 team, but it's always exciting to see, a young good player like Connor Bedard come in. I know Chicago's already been here once, but Connor Bedard isn't even the best Connor in this game. The man right there, pictured Connor Zary, is the better one, of course. One big note here is that Seth Jones is back for the Blackhawks, so obviously he's been out. One of their better players. Is he a little overrated, overpaid? Maybe, but still, that's a big boost for Chicago, but hopefully the Flames can still get past that. The other note is that Dustin Wolf is expected to be the starter. It has not been announced at the time of recording after Dan Vladar once again didn't play bad at all, but took the OT loss against the Ottawa Senators, which is just too bad for him. Now let's wrap this one up with the comment of the day. Oh, there we go, with the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel. It comes from the most recent video, and it's this comment here from Advanced Web Solutions. So it's about those RFAs and what contracts they might get. So this comment here, I think if you sign Coronado to a bridge deal, he might bail like Kachuk did once it's over. I'd be going for 5 to 6 years personally. He had a 2-point night just today. So obviously that was commented on the night that the Flames did play the Sens. But it is true. There's no right answer to what you can do with Coronado. In an ideal world, the Flames sign him for term and for cheap. That would be great. Is that what Coronado's going to go for? No, of course not. He's still in that, bet on myself mode, get something smaller. And I know he is American, but it's interesting. It's interesting to see if he would want to stay here. Maybe if the Flames give him an even bigger role, he would be more inclined. But we'll just see what he has to do for the rest of the year to see what he really is worth. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe like we saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.